why don't we jump over the women's side of things? Run me through the women first. What should we know about who ran and who didn't? What was the headline here?
So this was probably the most fascinating result of the 4 races. The entire season, we're talking about it's going to be a BYU NC State dual meet out there, and then New Mexico comes out of the woodwork and takes down both teams in a very impressive fashion, very packed type running. They didn't have a true number one stick. They put all their women in like the 12 through 25 range,
Hmm.
and they beat two really good teams. Now, there's a caveat. NC State did not run Hannah Steelman, who you would imagine is one of their top 3 runners, and BYU didn't run Whitney Orton, who is their number 1 runner. But before we talk about the team, we'll show these results here. Cecilia McCabe, who I have never heard of. Have
Steepler.
you?
Steepler, yeah,
Steepler.
six in the steeple in NCAA's. And I looked up her cross finish because I didn't know how well she didn't cross last year. She was 42nd in
Okay.
cross nationals in 2021 in March. So certainly solid runner, but this was a huge performance for her
Yeah.
to get the win over this quality of field.
Yeah, you look at Camille, Rowe, Magnus, Tui, Haas, Logue, all of
Yeah.
those women are all, you could see them finishing top 5, top 10, and she beat them
Yes.
all. And it was not even close, right? By 3 seconds. So she pulled away at the end. Very impressive for her. I'm not sure if this win makes me think she could be a national title contender. I I still reserve that for Mercy Chilanga. I don't think this win really moves the needle much for me there,
Yeah.
but it's definitely going to show that she's going to be top 10 potential.
Hmm.
So very impressive for the West Virginia athlete. Never heard of her. McCabe, now I will. It makes sense. When you finish 42nd, you're just outside of the All American, so you can kind of slip through the cracks and it's not a
Yeah.
memorable result, because it's like, oh, you're not a returning All American, but combine the 42nd place with a win at Nuttycombe, hey, like, it's legit. What's the average of 42 and 1? What, 21? So,
21. There you
right,
go.
so she'll finish top 20.
We should mention NC State also didn't run Dominique Claremont as well. BYU, I don't know if it was just BYU is really deep. I mean, so is NC State, but obviously Orton was the big person they held out. But there also could be someone who, hey, this is actually our 5th person, and you don't really figure that out until NCAA's. But obviously Orton not being there, is a big deal. But I see from this, just from the immediate reaction to it, not talking to anybody, it feels like NC State has more upside coming out of this than BYU. Do you agree?
Yes. However, I know you mentioned Claremont. Claremont didn't run well at the Notre Dame meet. So I'm not sure if Dominic Claremont's going to really be one of their top 5 women. Steelman, yes, because she has
100%. 100%.
recently
Yeah.
shown that she's there. So I honestly think it's really only NC State didn't have Steelman and BYU didn't have Orton. And that I did some fun little math here. We'll bring this little graphic up that I created on my little laptop. I pretended that, let's imagine Orton gets 5th in this race and
Hmm.
Steelman finishes a little bit above their 4th of their 3rd runner. The
Hmm.
new totals would have been NC State 78, BYU 100, New Mexico 101. So 20
Hmm.
point difference isn't much. I think what it really shows, I think it still shows NC State is the favorite,
Yeah.
but I do think it shows if NC State and BYU have bad days, New Mexico 1000% has a chance to win. I think that the gap between average BYU/NC State to a good day New Mexico is non-existent. So
Yeah.
I said it was a 2-team race. I still kind of feel like it's a 2-team race, but
Yeah.
New Mexico, if chaos happens, we should not be surprised if they end up winning. So
Well,
because look at that
I'm
pack.
looking at I'm looking at BYU and where they can improve. I think Anna Camp finishing 32nd is a clear spot where they can gain some points. NCAA 1500 meter champion. New Mexico, I'm about to pay New Mexico the highest compliment that I can give in sports. And that is
Okay.
comparing them to the San Antonio Spurs. Because listen, every year we're like, all right, New Mexico had a good run, but they graduated 3 of their top 5, or they graduated their top 2. And they managed to put the pieces back together to field a competitive team and sometimes a championship team. And they do it with people that nobody is familiar with. I mean, some people are familiar with this, but the name that jumps out at you at this list is who, Gordon? Who's the person you're most familiar with in terms of New Mexico of the women
Ava
they ran at
Cohen.
Nuttycombe? Audva Cohen. She didn't
Ava Cohen.
score.
Yeah.
She was their 6th runner. You had Stephanie Parsons, Grayson Larkin, Emma Heckel, Abby Goldstein, Samir Deshawn. Obviously, all great runners, but at the beginning of the year, I don't think you had any of these women that high up on your rankings, correct? And Joe Franklin just manages every year to put together a squad of really talented, under the radar athletes. And we've been doing this years now. This is going like a decade now, basically, almost of him doing it. Yeah, you talk about the Collates and the Kurgats and the Prouses and the Taylors and the Alice Wrights and all those Courtney Frericks, obviously the headliners. But he's had a lot of teams like this, or he's had a lot of contributing members of his team like this. It's just a bunch of role players where you put them all together and they go, I mean, what's their 1 through 5 here? 18 seconds? That's crazy.
Yeah.
They go 12, 15, 16, 24, 26, 18-second spread. And it looks like they packed up all the way through 4K because they were only 1
Yeah.
second apart at 4K. So, again, I don't know if it's a title team, but just the fact that every year we do this drill, I'm going to stop picking against them for podiums. I'm going to stop doing it. I learned my lesson.
Yeah. The only negative is they have a great pack, but like you've looked into this research, how often does a team that has an incredible pack
Yeah, you got to
win
have one up there.
without a top 10 stick? You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, you got to have one up there. You got to have, to extend my analogy, you got to have the Tim Duncan, right? If you're the Spurs, you can't just have a lot of second round and late first round picks and get it done. So yes, that's what I'm saying. I'll stop short of saying title team this year, but again, it's podium and it's winning meets like this, and it's putting themselves in the position to win. And you look at that 5, Gordon. I see a sophomore, 2 freshmen, 1 senior, and a junior. So then you come back with that squad and then you do have a podium team. Or sorry, then you do have a title contender for 2022. So I just continue to be impressed by them. Look